Okay, to do a scatter plot, you'll go to Graphs, Legacy Dialogues, Scatter. Just grab a simple scatter, define. You'll put your two variables here. You'll find them and push them over. I've already done that. It does matter which you do. So how do you know which to do? Well, it's all about the story you want to tell. The y-axis is really what you're interested in learning more about. Typically, it's the outcome. It's the dependent variable, if you're used to that terminology. It's the why of why we're doing the study. And when I say why, I mean the WHY, the purpose of doing the study. So if you're looking at, for example, cancer risk, and how maybe cell phone usage influences cancer risk is what you're really interested in there. It's the outcome. So whatever that outcome is, in my case, statistics GPA in college, you'll put that in the y-axis. The predictor variable, the independent, the thing that you think might be connected to or even influencing this outcome variable, that's going to go in your x-axis. And then we'll give our graph a title. I've already titled mine something that's a meaningful title, easy to understand, short. And we'll just click OK. We'll get a graph. Now it looks pretty messy. This is simply because here I have over 3,000 points. Yours may even have quite a few more than that. Smaller scatter plots are a little easier to read and interpret. And that's okay. We're just still going to go ahead and copy that into the lab here. And when you describe a scatter plot, there's typically three things you want to mention. You want to mention the strength, the direction, and the shape of what the pattern that you see here with these dots. And in this case, it's persistence and GPA, but it's a little hard to see this here. So what I'm going to write here is typically we describe the strength, direction, and shape. And you know what? Those are probably not in the right area. The shape, direction, and strength of the dot patterns. In this case, it is difficult to see these using the scatter plot alone. And you'll see some examples in your textbook where it is much clearer what it is. So what do we do if we can't tell the shape, the direction, the strength? Well, that's where we go to the actual numbers. So that's what we're going to do next here with a correlation and a regression. But it is always a good idea. One of the things that you might see on the scatter plot is you might realize that there's still missing variables in there, and there aren't. In this case, I've removed them all. But you might start to notice things that are wrong, that maybe you did wrong on the statistical end of things. One thing I want to mention here real quick, why do we have all these horizontal lines? Well, that's because our outcome variable, statistics GPA, it was quantitative, but there weren't really, it's not like people take 20 statistics courses and get all these different GPAs. Typically, you either get an A, or maybe this is an A minus, B plus, B, something like that. There's not very many different total scores you could get on your statistics GPA, which is why we only have a few different lines instead of a typical scatter plot where you see the dots everywhere.